I'm Tig, this is week 37 of me documenting my progress as a musician and guitarist. In this video, I'm going to take you through the entire process of me this week songwriting and putting together a piece using only the guitar, which sounds like some crazy challenge if no one's ever done just like a solo guitar piece before. It's really not that crazy. But at the end of last week's video, I kind of put it out there and held myself accountable that I'm going to do some songwriting this week and showcase it in this week's video. So on Monday morning, I grabbed the guitar and started putting some ideas out and actively writing, which was nice because the last few weeks I've been picking up my guitar and just practicing scales and solos, but not really doing the writing part as much. And as I started playing some chords and putting together an idea in my head, I was thinking about the drums and then thinking about all the things I would add and then thinking, whoa, how am I going to have this finished for the end of this week? So then I decided to put some constraints on myself to make things a bit more interesting and make the video a bit more doable, at least for this week, which was to see how much of a soundscape I could create and how far I could get with creating something that feels like a whole track using only the guitar. Meaning, when it comes to drums, percussion, bass, like background noises, all that kind of thing, I'm just going to use the guitar for them, just for this week's video, because constraints breeds resourcefulness and progress is better than perfection. And I know that I can spend hours just creating drums, sampling drums, and I can also spend hours perfecting a piece. Like, for example, if I was going to release a song, I'd spend hours and hours and hours on it. So for the sake of this video, of getting something decent, finished, and ready in time for the video, I thought if I just remove the possibility of adding in drums or a bass part, etc., it'll keep me focused and force me to be creative and also decisive rather than just sitting there spending ages twiddling around with the fine details of certain sounds. So without further ado, let's jump in and I'm going to talk you through my process of creating a piece and adding lots of layers this week. So I started off laying down some chords in my favorite key, D major, in this very even rhythm, you could say. Now I'm really paying attention to the small embellishments, small changes across the chord, like you can hear there. Now I'm feeling it changing the chords, new section. Ooh, yeah, I was very happy with how naturally that came first time. So this section is kind of like the second half to what I was playing at the start. Oh, chill out, we're just doing the rhythm. Don't get too carried away. And right here I thought, well, if I'm not going to have any drums or anything like that, that end needs to be a bit more hard-hitting. Something a bit more like slap bass. Yeah, that's not quite it. So I'm going to try figure that out. Oh, yeah, that's more like it. And with this in place, we've essentially now got one round of the whole loop. And now we're going to go again, and now we're just going to start adding layers. So what I'm adding here is some muted, kind of choppy harmonics. It's kind of like part melody, part rhythm. And this is a really good example of how I want to add layers and slowly build up the sound. Now the same again, more harmonics, but this time it's more bell-like, more chiming. And the aim of this layer is to always have something playing in the background, always have something ringing out in the background, I should say. So because everything else is choppy up until now, these are very smooth. And that means that there's always a background sound. So it really fills out the texture. This bit was very 1975 inspired, one of my favorite bands. Then I decided to harmonize it because why not? I realized that that part I just did would work for the verse section, but I wanted to add something different to the kind of chorus section of the second half. So this bit feels very atmospheric, really building up something. Now it's time for some rhythm. So here was me struggling to add a layer of rhythm that was very inspired by a Strawberry Lace song called Wake Up. I love the bass part in it, and this is me replicating that same rhythm in this track. Now, if this video lands in the way I hope it lands, then you're going to hear big potential of lots of things in the pot being brewed up to hopefully create a pretty interesting concoction at the end. So, of course, I'm going to now show you how it all sounds put together with me soloing over the top. It's not really a guitar solo, it's more so me noodling over the top, adding some lead guitar ambience. I'm not really sure exactly what you call it, but me playing through the track now with everything in order, all the layers put together. It's actually 3 full rounds of the chord progression, each one building and adding in more and more of the sounds that I just showed you. So let's get into it. So that was the biggest fruit of my week. A piece fleshed out with only guitar parts, but still sounding quite full. And I know that I got further with getting this piece ready and getting all the layers, creating the structure than I would have done if I was just songwriting on my own, but not knowing I was going to show it in the video. So what I'm going to do is next week, I'm going to polish it even more. Maybe I will now add some drums and add some different sounds. Now that I've got the base format for it there, I'm happy to build on that and now start to add fine details. So if you're curious to see how this piece progresses and what it sounds like next week, along with how I progress in general as a songwriter, guitarist, and musician, then hit subscribe and I'll see you on the next one.